I'm gonna send 10 cards to 5 different grading companies, and you're gonna see all the things that happen. Well, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. A little bit of a different setup today. We're gonna actually be sending 5 cards, actually 10 cards, to 5 different grading companies. We're gonna send in, these are gonna be Flesh and Blood as well as Metazoo cards. We're gonna send in 5 Cold Foil Luminaris and 5 of the new Mothman Full Hollow from Nightfall. Here's why we're gonna do this. There's so much bad information about grading in our communities, so many biases, so many old, old biases of people who own tons of BGS slabs and PSA slabs and all the different slabs that they want their company to continue to hold up true. So I wanted to bring some truths to the community. I wanted to do some honest feedback and honest testing. We're gonna talk about my entire testing process, and then I'm actually going to commit to the grading company that I find. I'm new to this. I have some grades. I do have like a Charizard, an 8.0 Charizard that I got PSA graded. I've got a Dragonite from SGC. I really like these slabs. We're gonna talk about that. I do have a BGS Shiana 95. So I do have some grading experience I've dabbled in over the last year, but now I'm gonna hop in really deep, and I'm gonna end this whole series, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 months, by actually getting all my cold foils and high-end Metazoo cards graded by the same company. I really want to figure out for me what is my brand that I like for grading, and so I'm gonna do this just blind study to see what's happening. So here's what this is gonna do. I'm gonna show you the cards while I talk about this a little bit. I've labeled them BGS, PSA, SGC, CGC, PCG, and LMNOP. We're gonna talk about all these grading companies. You're gonna see all 5 cards. I wanted to do the same card. We'll see what their grades come back. We'll kind of compare. I'm gonna really try to be as transparent as possible with why I choose whatever grading company I end up choosing at the end of this series, hopefully in 3 or 4 months. So let's talk about these companies. First off, this might be a little bit of a longer video, but let's talk about these companies, and then let's talk about what are the metrics of which I'm going to evaluate these things. And then at the back end of this video, I'm gonna share with you the process of sending these cards right now into getting graded. So it might be a little bit of a long video, but stick around because I really appreciate you here. So BGS, Beckett Grading Service, the key here is that 4 of these companies were created in the 1990s or 2000, and the new one right now is PCG, Premier Card Grading, and that is Channel Fireball. Matt Rogers have this grading company. I want to kind of test that out for Flesh and Blood cards. But let's start with the old ones. That BGS. Obviously, BGS is super popular amongst Magic the Gathering fans. That seems to be the kind of grading service of choice. I have said on my videos that I think that Flesh and Blood is going to follow suit because of the history of Flesh and Blood players coming a lot from Magic the Gathering. My attitude towards that is kind of changing lately as I start to see some of those old Magic the Gathering people filter out and new players come in who say, I never played Magic the Gathering. So my bias towards that is starting to wean a little bit. BGS was created in 1999. They've been a company since 1999. Meanwhile, then you have PSA, which is known for their Pokemon grading. I actually doubt I will change over Pokemon to anything else other than PSA just because the market has really accepted PSA for Pokemon. And this is why I want to do this video, because the market hasn't said what we like yet for Flesh and Blood or Metazoo. That has not been agreed upon. There's not historical data to back that up. So me as a content creator, I want this to not just be whatever somebody with a bunch of money says because they want their old cards to be worth money. I want this to be what service is actually best. What company actually provides the best service, because I don't think that it's just historical data that matters. I think it's ease of use, and we'll get into the things. It's ease of use. I'm gonna give them to you right now. It's cost and speed. It's quality of service. It's ease of use after. One of the things here with Beckett, like, it's harder to figure out what card you have, and the website's not super good. Whereas like SGC, you just type in the number and you get all this information. And like, you know, PSA has the little QR codes in the background. So there's a lot of different ease of uses that I think matter. And then the last thing is the potential sale, the kind of, and for me, the goal is long-term encapsulation. So the potential sale at the end. Although again, like I do think like as a community, we have a voice to choose the best. We're in the first 2-3 years of these TCGs in Flesh and Blood and in Metazoo. And so I think we do have a long-term strategy. Anyway, so here's the other ones. You got PSA from 1991. That stands for Pro Sports Authority. I had to look all these up. I just know the elemental P's of them. SGC, which that was a new one that I had never really heard of. They've been around since 1998, actually longer than BGS. I thought that was super interesting. I really like that tuxedo. I'm gonna have some biases because I like the way that this one looks the best. Anyway, you're gonna see CGC, which is the one with the blue label. I don't have any CGC cards to show you. They've been around since 2000. They're also pretty popular in the comic book section of the world. I might even send in my Metazoo comic book, although I noticed that it had a little scratch on it, so maybe it's not worth it. Anyway. And then Premier Card Grading, which came out in 2021, and they are doing Flesh and Blood. They're not technically doing Metazoo. I'm gonna send a Metazoo card in and see what happens. I'm gonna do, you can do like a custom form. I'm just gonna see what happens. Anyway, I just think that with these new companies coming out, it's gonna be interesting to see which ones actually hold and which ones actually make a difference. You know, a company coming in 21 years later, or in the case of PSA, 30 years later, it's gonna be interesting to see if there is a market for that. I know there's a lot of new companies coming in. There's a ton of them, like in the other card games. Anyway, we're gonna take a look at those things. So here's what I want to be made clear. I want to document my experience with all 5 of these companies because I'm going to commit to one of these companies for Flesh and Blood and Metazoo. That's what I'm going to do as a content creator. And I don't want you thinking that I have any biases other than I like that black tuxedo look. I don't want you thinking I have any biases. I want to document my experience for you so that you don't have no doubt why I believe in the card grading service that I choose to be a part of. There's no money here. There's no connection here. I don't have any backroom doors with whatever the people who are running the company are doing it. I have no connection to any of these companies. All I care about is seeing what I want to put my money into and my belief into for these new games. So that's what I'm doing. Again, the goal here is to figure out the cost and the speed, and obviously BGS is more expensive right now for the speed, but that could have a better value. So we're gonna look at the same speeds, I think, as close as possible as we can get to like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, and we will factor in that cost based on, is the cost worth the potential sale at the end. We're gonna look at the quality of service. So the quality of service during being like the checkout experience, how to do the forms, how their online service performs. We're gonna do what it's like to put through the cards, and then obviously during, like what feedback they give me as I'm going through the process. If I get an email saying, hey, we got your cards, you know, BGS lost my cards earlier this year, so like if they lose my cards, I'm gonna document that again. All the way from now until when I get the cards, I'm gonna document that whole experience for you. And then the ease of use. After we get the cards, what we'll probably do is do multiple videos. This video will just be me putting the cards in and the process. The next video will kind of document when they get the cards and then me receiving them. And then we'll kind of go through the use of their website and the use of looking up the population reports. And then the potential sale at the end. I don't know how I'm gonna do that one yet. I think I'm gonna actually put them up for auction and see what bids go to what in our community. I don't actually want to sell the cards, but I'll just buy them back and we'll just count it as a loss. Anyway, let's take a look now at the cards if I haven't been showing them yet, but then we'll go through and we're actually going to go through the checkout process together for each one of these services and see what it's like. Thanks for watching the video. Alright guys, so I was editing this video and I realized how boring it was watching me for about 35 minutes to check out on all these websites. So I'm going to choose to not put that 35-minute video in there because I just need you to know the important stuff. Number one, Beckett's website is horrible. There's all this different stuff on there. It's really confusing to figure out where you're supposed to submit your cards. They do have an online submission form, but this is now my 4th time submitting cards and I am not able to figure out how the online submission form works. Now, I'm not amazing at computers, but I'm a really good computer person, and so to not be able to figure that out is not good. So I end up using a physical form every time. Also, even like pulling up the population report, it's just a clunky website. It looks like it was built a long time ago and they haven't invested in their resources. The experience is not great on BGS. I would say the BGS experience submitting cards is the worst, and then in addition, it's like $250 per card right now, so not super excited on the BGS. PSA, super easy. Like, also expensive, but super easy. You type in the card number or the day, whatever, and there was a couple cards that they didn't have. I think 1 or 2 of them. You just type in exactly what's in there. It's really easy to do. They print out a different piece of paper for you to tape to the box rather than having to do the other things. So PSA probably up at the top, and as far as like ease of use goes. CGC and SGC both are newer to the Metazoo and to the Flesh and Blood. I had to type in both cards. There was a couple of things I just wasn't fully sure on. Those things don't bug me that much. Like if the card comes back and it has like slightly wrong label on it, that stuff doesn't really matter that much to me. But I do wish that they had the cards in their system a little bit better. I think SGC was probably the worst of those two in terms of having the cards in their system and the confidence in the ability that the cards were right. Again, that's not a major thing, but it's just not... when you're submitting these cards, especially expensive ones, like if you were doing a really expensive card or a huge list of cards, you want that confidence boost. And that's why I don't like doing it on physical paper for BGS, but on these ones, I wish it was a little bit more easy. I'm wondering if on the more popular card games, that problem isn't solved because there's more cards being submitted. So we'll have to see how that goes over time. Then Premier Card Grading, I think, had the best service in terms of importing the cards or inputting the cards. I did do the Metazoo card. You should not do that. I had to like click a couple buttons to get it to submit. I do not anticipate that they are going to actually grade the card, but we'll see what happens. This is just for science. It's a YouTube channel. I get to do fun stuff like this. So the submission form was easy to put together. We'll see how the rest of the website is. It is just, the checkout part of it at least, is just a Shopify site. So that doesn't give me a ton of confidence, but I think all in all it looked good. It was easy to put the stuff in. And I would say it ranks up there with the ease of use in terms of submitting your card, especially Flesh and Blood. They had all the cards all ready to go. It was pretty easy. So I would say it ranks up there with the best of them as far as submitting the card and getting it in there. But then when you print off the packaging thing, it's just that final test of like you're printing the form. Like PSA, there's like 3 forms and it tells you exactly what to submit, and even SGC, it's like this form and this form go in the thing, and then Premier Card Grading is just like, hey, write your order number, and I guess that's all that you need. It just seemed a little bit more it gave me a little bit more confidence on the other websites rather than going through like a Shopify checkout system on the Channel Fireball PCG one. So that's that. Let's go to shipping, and I'm going to go through kind of how I ship the cards. Again, I just want to reiterate before we get into the shipping, this is not a how to ship your cards for grading video. This is just how I'm doing this right now. I would be much more better at it if if there was higher value cards. This is just kind of a video I needed to get out tonight. So let's go that way. All right, so everyone always gets worried about how to package their grading. It's really not that difficult. Here's how I'm gonna do these. I'm gonna use just a 300 count storage box. If this was more expensive, I would put this in another box as well. But you want something to keep the cards separated and in the order that you put them in. You're gonna use I use these card saver 2s, just a soft penny sleeve, put it in a card saver or another grading submission slab thing. And then you just want a way to keep them in order. And then a lot of the times you want to put a rubber band around there. I like using rubber bands I just never have, but I always have paper and some tape. So I just do a little paper tape thing like this, and that keeps everything together. And then you're just gonna put it in the box, and then make sure you follow the directions that are on the submission form, and make sure it's all shipped in there correctly. I'm gonna put some more tape on that, or some more padding on that. I'll put the submission form in, make sure all the stuff I follow directions. So it's really not rocket science. I don't know why people get worried about it. I was worried about it the first time I did it too, but now that I've done it a few times, it's pretty basic. So. All right, and there we have all of our boxes that are getting ready. I'm gonna put labels on top of them. Again, if you're shipping like expensive cards, these are only $200, $300. If you're shipping really expensive cards, you're gonna wanna put these boxes or package them better in another bigger box. This is the goal. This is to get this done pretty quick, to get videos out. Again, this was expensive, right? So like CGC was 130, SGC was whatever. BGS way more expensive, PSA way more expensive. Let's see what the quality of services that they provide is on the back end of that, and then we'll talk about financial stuff in a couple days. This was an expensive video, so make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, be along here for the ride. The honest content is expensive, but I don't want to just take other people's words for it. I want to engage in this myself and create my own dialogue and my own feelings about these companies. I do think I want to say, don't go submitting Metazoo cards to PCG. I'm sure they're gonna just deny it. So don't bombard them with Metazoo cards. Anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Remember to be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.